Hello, everybody, and welcome to my broadcast. So, I just want to thank you all for joining, and I want you to do hashtag replay so that you can let me know that you came on in. What I want to talk about on today is cash or credit. So, what I want to do is give you some easy formulas to help you juggle payment options. When you get to a place to where you don't know if you want to do cash or if you want to do credit. If you want to do, well, let's say debit or credit. Okay, let's say debit or credit because um, to me, debit is the same thing as cash, right? So I really want to go ahead and jump on in because especially now in the time where the economy situation may be forcing you to be more creative, with your spending exploits, right? So you have to be on top of your money, right? And it's in your best interest to be smart when it comes to your spending, right? So your ability to find a delicate balance between when to use debit and when to use credit, right? We still have individuals who do carry the physical cash, but we have to come to a place to where we can differentiate which payment option to do, right? So having enough cushion, you know, is a possibility to where you won't blow your financial budget, having a mountain of debt staring you in the face because you use so much credit. So let me give you some strategies, that will help you juggle your payment methods effectively. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. And one of the strategies in which that you can use to juggle between if you want to do cash or credit or debit or credit is to separate your reoccurring and one-time um, expenses. So, what do I mean by that? So, you can split your expenses between two categories. So, you have your regular monthly um, expenses, which is, your utilities, your rent. But then, you have them one time expenses, right? It can be a business trip, or it can be a unexpected expense that came on in your business. So in most cases, okay, in most cases, you can use your reoccurring monthly expenses to be paid for with your credit card. And why we want to do that is because we want to rack up the rewards, right? Remember, we talked about that last time. And so because of these reoccurring expenses, it's already money that you really have set aside because you pay them on a reoccurring basis, on a month to month basis. So you already know that you're going to have that, right? So all you got to do is, put it on your credit card and then quickly pay it off because you already have that money set aside, right? But when it comes to the one time expenses, it's better to do that as a debit and or cash, right? So that you're more honest with yourself in the terms of your financial position, right? So with credit cards can sometimes give a false sense of financial wellness, but in actuality, it's really not because of the spending power that it gives you, right? But if you're not an individual who knows how to properly manage your money or properly even manage your credit, then when it comes to the one time expenses, it's going to be in your best bet to use debit instead of credit, right? So when you're using this strategy, it's really important to make sure that you're sticking to your budget, right? So just remember to put aside those funds of those reoccurring expenses even if you put it on your credit card because you want to bake up on them cash rewards, right? So the one of the worst financial mistakes that you really can do in your business or even household is when you spend cash for your rent or your brick and mortar or whatever your highest expense is on a one-time expense. We don't want to do that. So the next thing, one of the strategies of how to juggle between debit or credit is to assess the ability to make deferred payments. What do I mean by this? So if you have to pay for your purchase, in the next 30 days, right? For example, then you can budget for that, right? And you can pay cash or debit when the time comes, right? But also at the same time, you have to remember that if you can't afford to pay for something with your debit card, it's probably not a good idea to pay for it on your credit card, because with the credit card, you have entrance that's going to accumulate. And guess what? Of course, we don't want that. If we're going to put something on our credit card, we got to make sure that we pay that baby off in full before they rack up the entrance, because we already know that we already have it. And the less debt that you rack up from your credit card spending, the better off you are. We talked about that last time. When it comes to, we have to make sure that um, we're not keeping ourselves in debt, right? Just because the United States of America is in debt doesn't mean that we have to follow suit. And I think that's a curse on the land. I think that debt, that's, if it's a spirit, okay, that debt is a curse on the United States of America land. Because how can we have a nation that is in debt and it falls on the Americans to be in debt? Honey, that is not good, okay? Um, Even when it comes to not only being a consumer, but really being a entrepreneur or a business owner, I used to think that debt is good. But in actuality, when we think about the kingdom of heaven, is the kingdom of heaven in debt? Okay, we're supposed to be following suit to the kingdom of heaven. Is the kingdom of heaven in debt? Is our heavenly Father in debt? So, should we be in debt? No, ma'am. No, sir. So I'd rather follow suit of the kingdom of heaven than the kingdom of this world. Let's make it our business to be debt free from every single thing. And sometimes our minds cannot comprehend such a thing. But what does it say? I'm a lender to many nations and borrow from none. That's in Deuteronomy. So if that's in Deuteronomy, and we are of the Abrahamic covenant because we've been born again from above of his spirit through Jesus Christ, honey, then that means we should not be in debt. I don't care what the world say. I don't give a hoot nanny fool what they say. Because I am of the kingdom, I shouldn't be in debt. And you shouldn't be either. Think about that. So the next thing, how to juggle between, debit or credit, is to determine which offers a better tracking capabilities, right? So, do you track your previous month's expenses to see if there is a habit you have improved upon in the current month? Okay, this is a good thing to do. This is a wise thing to do. So either debit or credit might work better for you in this endeavor, depends on your habit. So if you are a type of individual who is disciplined to saving your receipts or using whatever type of bookkeeping system, you can be better off spending on debit or cash. This way, you always know when to stop spending, when your cash allotment is running out, because you can analyze your receipts and look for a way in which that you can save, right? It's always good to have a really good bookkeeping system, because you have to track all your expenses, and that's a good thing due to when it comes to doing your taxes. But however, if you cannot, find most of your receipts, which is a no-no when it comes to the business world, at the end of the month, it can be difficult for you, to know how you're spending and how you can do these tax write-offs, right? So it might be better for you to use credit cards, because with credit cards, you know where your money is going, you know how to track, you know how to analyze. But at the same time, remember, if you're going to use your credit card, make sure that you can pay off your credit card within that same month. Okay. And if you can, and if you don't mind giving them entrance for a couple of months, then do so. Last but not least, another strategy of how to juggle your payment option is to assess your spending patterns, with debit versus credit. So nobody knows your habits better than you. Okay. Are you more of a frugal spender, when it comes to using debit or your credit card, right? So in most cases, you'll likely spend less money, when you're using your debit or cash, because when that money runs out, it's more of a psychological, perceptive, right? Or perception, right? It's easier to hold back when you have cash, because it's running low. You can see it, because it can be easier for you to see how your reserves can go from healthy to empty in a matter of seconds. Okay. So we want to make sure that you can, assess your spending patterns. Okay. If you that one that can swipe that card in a minute, you get what I'm saying? Then you might want to assess to see, how can you, cut back from swiping that card. Maybe you got to leave it at home, or whatever the case may be. But you, and whatever strategy in which you have to use to make sure that you're not always keeping yourself in debt, your business in debt, then you do as such. Okay. All right. So, once you try these strategies, you'll be able you'll be able to determine which method of payment offers you of a more good return, a better flexibility, and in most realistic look on your financial status. Okay. So I want to thank you for joining my broadcast. Again, my name is Aisha T. Stearns. I'm your financial bondage breaker. We are breaking people off of bondage, okay? Spiritually, because it's always first spiritual versus natural, So we want to come to a place to where we're breaking bondage off of our mindset. We're breaking bondage off of our money. We're breaking the bondage that's off of our business, right? So if you're just joining in, sorry that I missed you, but go ahead and catch the replay. Do hashtag replay. Make sure that you like, make sure that you follow, and make sure that you share this broadcast, right? Because there is somebody who wants to know, how can I juggle the payment between debit and credit? Okay. So until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you all on next time. Okay. All right.